Welcome back to O'Cauley TV as we continue to celebrate the life and legacy of T. Boone Pickens, a mega booster for Oklahoma State, a titan in the oil, natural gas, and business world. He was a big player in politics, especially in the state of Texas. I read earlier that he had dual citizenship between Texas and Oklahoma. Born on May 22nd, 1998 in Holdenville, moved to Amarillo, and then went to Texas A&M on a scholarship. Didn't get the scholarship, came to Oklahoma A&M. How thankful are we to Texas A&M for not renewing that scholarship for T. Boone Pickens. In 2010, we're talking about all that he gave back to the world, and obviously all that he gave to Oklahoma State University. But in 2010, Bill Gates and Warren Buffett asked him to donate to the Giving Pledge and be a part of the Giving Pledge, where you obviously give a majority of your wealth away to charity, and he agreed immediately. It was never a second thought for T. Boone Pickens, and I think that kind of speaks to what kind of person he was.
Yeah, and you mentioned 2010. That's the same year he created the Pickens Legacy Scholarship Match, and he agreed to match up to $100 million in OSU's fundraising campaign when they were trying to, bring more attention to the school in their rebranding campaign. And the next year, he added right onto that and gave another $20 million. This guy, it was never an issue. Generosity was probably his biggest personality trait. If you didn't know him personally, you knew him for his generosity. It seemed to never stop.
Well, how many times do you hear in life, if I had $1 billion, I would do this? And I think there's a lot of people with $1 billion. There's a lot more people without $1 billion, but there's a lot of billionaires that never, ever eclipse or get close to what T. Boone Pickens gave back. And again, that just speaks to the life and the legacy of T. Boone Pickens as a whole. He loved Oklahoma State, he loved his country, and he loved helping other people.
Absolutely, and you mentioned it, just a small-town kid from Holdenville, Oklahoma. I'm from Oklahoma, and I don't even know where that is. So for him to just start there, especially during that time, he grew up during the Great Depression, and I think that probably impacted him quite a bit, seeing how hard it was for people to live during that time. He wanted to focus his life on making sure he gave plenty to other people to give them opportunities that he had, and maybe opportunities that he wished he had.
Yeah, at 12, he started his paper route. This is my favorite story I've heard from T. Boone Pickens this week, is he started with 28 customers and quickly realized that if he just acquires other paper routes from other paper boys, he's gonna have a gold mine. It's exactly what happened. That's how he figured out he can have success by acquisition. And you look at his history or his record in the business world, he certainly went after some titans in the oil industry. Sometimes it didn't always go his way, but he always made money, and he always made money for other people, and he certainly gave a lot back. We're going to go back to Dallas, Texas with Kristen Landon from the ceremony for T. Boone Pickens.
Hey, thanks, guys. Again, Chris Notch alongside Landon Green right here outside United Methodist Church. You maybe can hear it as the bells are kind of tolling, kind of getting things ready to go. We're seeing more and more individuals come. But let's talk a little bit about the impact that he did have on the university back in Stillwater, especially for athletics, the impact that he had on not only the coaching staff and the university, but also these student athletes.
Well, I think, before he came into the picture, Oklahoma State really wasn't anything. They had a basketball team, they had a good wrestling team. That was about it, as far as our athletics goes. Football was not on the map. Football was perennially bad. And when he kind of put his money on it, put his name on the stadium, and gave us a little bit of that financing, you really start to see stuff turn around. I think within a 2-year period, maybe there with Les Miles, we were halfway decent. But then when Mike Gundy took over, it was just a few years of just really tumbling through, trying to figure out what we were. Until about 2009, 2010, when that money finally started to, show all that building blocks that Mike Gundy was able to put together, using some of that funding and some of the financing that Boone was able to put into our stadium and everything.
Yeah, and you kind of bring up the money. Jay actually mentioned to us, kind of told us a little story about that, how when Boone was thinking about even kind of coming back as a donor, There was only, I think he said 4, I believe it was, $1 million donors in a sense. And the fear was with Boone of, either people are going to take off or he's going to be the one carrying the load. And what it did, it was actually the former, where as soon as he did that, I mean, everyone just took out, everyone kind of pitched in. And now Jay said they're at, I believe it's over 400 donors that are signed up for at least $1 million a year. So again, not to get too much on his impact, but just to show, you talked about it too, the aim. Well, you have to have someone take the shot. Boone took the shot, and everyone else just followed suit, which is good. And it just shows, again, what he's done for the program.
Well, I mean, and it shows that at one point it just wasn't a good investment to invest into Oklahoma State football. But showing that there's somebody that's willing to become invested into it, willing to put the money into it, it just gave everybody else the push to actually invest into Oklahoma State football. And I think that was, he got the ball rolling and everybody else just followed suit. So, I mean, again, he was able to really help us, fix our facilities, fix up, everything else that we needed. We got our major deal with Nike. We have all these things that we can show to, incoming athletes, that might, are thinking about coming here. That, hey, we have these facilities, we have these different things that you can take advantage of. And like I say, all of that is because of what Boone was able to do.
Yeah, no, and that's exactly it. He has done so much. The Athletes Village too was another thing or athletics, I should say, that those donations helped, and just the impact. And as you mentioned, our football program maybe wouldn't be the prominence that it is if he didn't get that donation to help jumpstart, to help show people that, hey, we can be a good team here. Again, it's not all about athletics and always being the best of the best. I mean, you want that, of course. I think for Boone though, it wasn't all about the celebrity part that came with it. It's nice, yeah, I'm sure, to come by and you see your name up on the stadium. It's the house that Boone built, as they call it. But it was it's what he got that no one else noticed. From giving that money to go, okay, this is a good cause. This is a positive effect on individuals, not just myself. That they're able to go out and do things and to succeed to the best of their ability.
Yeah,
with this donation.
Yeah, and I think some days we'll take a walk. We'll go walking, and we'll go look around for different places to shoot our different shows across campus. And you walk by Boone Pickens, and that thing is massive. It is huge. It is like a castle. And you look up at it, and you just say, "Oh my goodness, how is this even built?" And when we tune off here, when we get out of here, tune out. There will be, go look at a picture at Boone Pickens Stadium. It'll be Lewis Field from 20 years ago, and then look at it now. Look at the differences between even in 2000 to 2019 and how much everything has changed. And you see these people coming in, and again, that's just how Boone was. He was just able to give back twofold whatever he got, and we've benefited from it, and he benefited from us, just being able to show his school spirit a little bit more.
Right, and it kind of, again, not to sound like a broken record, but again, up in Stillwater, we always think, oh, it's just, in a sense, he almost evolved around OSU, which he did. Jay talked about the pride he had for OSU. He loved, he talked about it in the letters all the time before football would start. He loved the university. OSU was Boone and Boone was OSU. It was that same type of thing, but yet, when we came down here, I didn't personally realize the impact that Boone had to the Dallas community even, until we really sat down and talked to people, and they're like, oh, he's done this, and he's helped with all these different donations down here, that, Boone didn't just stay in one area. When he moved, he made sure to make an impact wherever he was located.
Yeah, and I think, he was able to give tips to everyone who needed it. He was able to give advice to anyone who needed it. I know Mike Holder, Mike Gundy, all those guys, they were able to kind of go to him every once in a while, and he'll be like, hey, these are Booneisms. One that stuck with Jay was a fool with a plan can beat a genius without one. And I think that those are the kind of things that you take into account when you look at the success of our athletic program, our football program over the past 10 years, the past 15 years, 20 years, from where they were to where they are now. Those are some of the things that, Mike Gundy, Mike Holder, and everybody else in the athletic department, whether it be Mike Boynton, Chris Cunningham, or Carson Cunningham, all the different coaches throughout even just all of the coaching staff. It's been able to kind of trickle down into everything that they take, and every day that they come into play or practice, they take that same mentality into it.
Yeah, and I think it goes to show too. Even the the athletic area of Boone Pickens and even Gallagher Arena that's attached to it. I've talked to some former athletes that used to play there, and they'd say you could just walk and almost just feel like you could feel the Booneisms almost within the structure, because again, as you mentioned, you walk by BPS, as a lot of us know it today, and it's massive. I mean, it was like how Boone was. He lived larger than life, and that's what the stadium was. It was larger than life. I'm sure there's numerous interviews if you look of when it first was built, and people were like, compared to Lewis Field, and you look and you're like, wait, this is what we get to play in this?
Yeah.
Like, this is our home? I mean, it made such an impact on young and old alike.
Well, I think not only that, but if you go back and if you look at some of the history, Boone Pickens didn't start at Oklahoma State. He started out at Texas A&M, and they didn't renew his $25 basketball scholarship to come back and play, and he had to transfer to Oklahoma State. And from there, the rest is history. He came here, and that could very well be Texas A&M money, but we were able to kind of scoop him up, and who knew that however long later, we're sitting here outside talking about just how generous this man was, and just the amount of passion he had for Oklahoma State, and the amount of passion he had for people.
Yeah, and the amount of passion he had to try something new. Jay talked about too how he was in his I think he said early to mid 70s when Boone decided to basically build up another company and in a sense start from scratch, which is Jay had said was just almost crazy out of this world, because you're at that age 70 years old where Boone easily could have retired. I think that's kind of obvious, and yet here he was like, no, I'm gonna go try this. I haven't done this yet. I'm gonna try things. He took his shot, as we have talked about, and once you hear that, you really look and you go, he really did. 70 years old, and he's going off and like, I'm gonna go try this because I got to keep living my life.
Yeah. Maybe he was bored. I don't know. Because, Jay told us yesterday, he said, hey, he was a businessman up until about 96. And then he dropped that, stopped doing that, stopped being the businessman that we all kind of know. And he took about 6 years off and then came back as the beneficiary, the philanthropist that we all, talk about. Right? We're talking about, this week and throughout, his whole life. We've been able to talk about that, and it really all started, after he kind of retired, and I think he had to take another look at his life and say, there's stuff out there that I can still be doing, and he figured that out in philanthropy.
Well, and we touched on the stadium at OSU, but maybe some people don't even realize he also helped with Carson Creek. He bought a hole, which is now where his childhood home actually is located on Carson Creek by his hole that he bought. So even there, it wasn't just towards football. It was any athletic program that we had at the university. Even golf, which is now made a name for itself. Everyone knows who Oklahoma State golf is, and there he was making donations so that they could play on one of the best courses in the country.
Yeah, and we had an opportunity to talk to Coach Bratton a few years ago. Jordan King did, and he even talked about, this is a great course. We've had, we've been lucky with donors. Mike Holder really helped us out, but he said we probably wouldn't be able to put this thing together if Boone hadn't put the money he did in it. Yeah, he bought a hole, but he also put in extra money to help them, finish up that course and everything. And it's a beautiful course. We've hosted national championships, or at least one national championship that I can think of right off the top of my head. We've hosted those, and we'll host future ones, and possibly a PGA Tour somewhere down the PGA Tour event somewhere down the line. But without Boone, we wouldn't be able to do any of this. We would still be kind of down on ourselves, but we've been able to really use him as a lifter of us, and he's been able to just kind of pick us up and bring us in.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. You had mentioned, Mason Rudolph had called. Jay actually had talked to him on the phone right when we were getting there trying to get things set up. We have, Jay had mentioned Ricky Fowler was planning to come next week, to the celebration up at OSU that they're having for Boone as well. So, we're seeing his giving come back around full circle, that a lot of these student athletes realize that the opportunity they have here at Oklahoma State is thanks in no small part to Boone himself and his donations.
Yeah, Des Bryant, a few other former Cowboy football players have tweeted condolences, put them on their respective social medias, and like I say, I mean, they've been able to. I think they're starting to realize how much impact he actually had on some of their careers. I mean, some of them, we look back on some of their pasts and they struggle a little bit. They're coming in and all of a sudden something happens, and Boone obviously was able to come in and say, hey, chill out, just come here, we'll help you out. And you're able to give some of these kids a second chance. And I mean, you look at some of these guys that are in the NFL now that are from Oklahoma State. You just have to look at that and say, wow, Boone really had a hand in that.
Yeah, and kind of not an athlete, but someone that's also in the sports industry, Jerry Jones. Boone made just as big of an impact. When Jerry came in '89, that's also when Boone Pickens kind of was making his way, moving to Dallas from Amarillo, bringing his company, Mesa Petroleum, to Dallas. And it was that same thing that him and, I saw in the interview, actually the press conference that Jerry Jones did, that he had said that they just hit it out of the park. They had that connection. Again, it helps probably with the oil industry, being they're both from that. But even the impact Jerry Jones had said that Boone had, Boone was, kind of the guy that he would go to him and just say, hey, what do I do here? Help me out. Kind of that trusted friend on his side to go, help me out, Boone. I don't know what I'm doing. What would you do?
Yeah, and we look at Jerry Jones now and we say, holy moly, this guy has been able to have such a huge impact on the sports community just as a whole, just the entire sporting community. But he got the tips from Boone on how to maintain that, how to keep it going, how to stay alive in this business, because Boone had been doing it. Boone's what, 15 years
15,
older
yeah.
than Jerry Jones, so he's been able to kind of give him a little bit of some tips and teach him how to kind of maintain some of that responsibility that he has as an owner of a massive sports franchise.
Yeah, no, and that's it. And it just goes to show, again, the impact that he has made on everyone. Again, you look at Jerry Jones, very well known. Everyone I mean, it's almost like the connection. Obviously, this is just speculation of, we have former OSU Cowboys that are now, with the Cowboys. Des Bryant was a former Dallas Cowboy. Blake Jarwin's currently on the team. It's just, again, it's almost like this network impact, and it all starts with Boone. Boone is everyone evolved around Boone like the sun, so to speak. Boone made everything go, and everyone else just followed, and it just got bigger and bigger because of Boone.
Yeah, and like I say, he was able to really help us out, and we can't. The athletic department can't thank him enough. The university can't thank him enough. He just was an outstanding person.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think it's almost hard pressed to say exactly the impact he had, because there is just so much that he has done, done for us with his impact. But of course, we are outside United Methodist Church here in Dallas. Chris Notch, Landon Green, we are going to take a quick break and send it back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, guys. Again, Landon and Chris down in Dallas for the memorial service for T. Boone Pickens. We're going over this philanthropy stuff, and I think that has to be the main focus, because the business stuff is great, and that's what amassed T. Boone's wealth, and that's what gave him the ability to give so much to so many people.
Right.
But for the philanthropy, just go down the list, Logan, of what he gave to Oklahoma State.
Yeah, his giving started in 1982 when he gave $1 million to the geology school, which would eventually bear his name. Then the next year, another $100,000. That's going to help try and get other boosters involved like he eventually did, but at that time he did not succeed in that. Then we take a little bit of a break till 2003. We jumps it up, $70 million, $20 million of that went to the football stadium. 2005, we get that $30 million for the athletic village we mentioned a little while ago, which now holds the tennis center, the practice facility, the new track and field house, the new baseball stadium. So that's probably the first of his most transformative gifts. And then in 2006, we get that collegiate athletic record donation of $165 million that went to the football program. And that went to the renovations in the West End Zone, which now It's where the band plays, where the student section is. Totally transformed the stadium and the practice facility, the weight room, all that. It really started a renaissance for the football program. Then in 2008, $63 million donation. This was for faculty, chairs, and professorships. That touches on that, what we mentioned earlier. It wasn't just about athletics with Boone-Pickens, it was about the academics as well. And then in July of that same year, 2008, $9.4 million again to the geology program. Then in 2010, he created that Boone-Pickens Legacy Scholarship Match, which we talked about earlier, agreed to match up to $100 million in individual donations from OSU's fundraising program. And in 2011, Pickens donated another $20 million to that program.
It's just absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
The academics, I think, is a big part that can be, not as recognized because of that beautiful stadium that was built
Right.
and the success that Oklahoma State football has been able to have. But what he gave to academics, to scholarships, that changes lives a lot too, and that cannot be forgotten.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's easier to measure the athletic stuff because
Right.
you can look at the wins the football program has created with it. You can look at the attendance numbers at home games, but it's hard to calculate opportunities for people. It's hard to sit down and look at how many people in the classrooms he affected just by, maybe they didn't get a scholarship from one of those programs, but they used some equipment. They sat in those new chairs. They sat with upgraded technology, and they learned that way. So that stuff's a little bit harder to calculate, but it's probably in the long term much more valuable than what he did for athletics.
And I was talking to somebody last night, Logan, about, some of these universities. Texas has Matthew McConaughey, who they kind of put out front to be their minister of culture. Who was Oklahoma State's minister of culture? And I think it was a resounding what was T. Boone Pickens. The world looked to T. Boone Pickens to represent Oklahoma State. He did everything for us. Everything. He put Oklahoma State, Stillwater on the map. There's a lot of wealthy people that otherwise probably would have not known much about Oklahoma State if it wasn't for T. Boone Pickens.
Yeah, I mean, certainly not in the sports world. The football program, I don't know if we have that amazing 2011 run without Boone Pickens, renovating the facilities. That helps with recruitment. That helps with player health, player strength, performance, all that kind of stuff. For everyone out there that loves watching Oklahoma State football, you owe a big thank you to T. Boone Pickens because he provided the team with the facilities and the funds and the means to have this level of success that we reached. And before Boone Pickens' donation in 2006, Oklahoma State was not known for that kind of football success. They were kind of the team that got in their own way a lot. You mentioned, Robert said that the stadium used to be considered an eyesore, but now it's probably the second best in the state. I would say it's the best in the state. It's better than OU Stadium.
Well, I want to read this stat because it's about sports, but I know it would put a smile on T. Boone Pickens' face. Since Mike Gundy was hired, Oklahoma State 124 wins, Texas 123. And that is a direct result of what T. Boone Pickens gave to this university. He gave to many other people as well, $100 million to UT Southwestern Medical Center and MD Anderson in Houston. That's a lot of money. Gave a lot of money to the Red Cross.
Right.
Just so many, thousands of people. He said every day he got a letter for somebody thanking him for what he gave. So that, again, encapsulates the life and legacy of T. Boone Pickens. We're going to take a quick break, but we will come back, and the funeral service for T. Boone Pickens will be streamed live on Ocali.com, Roku, Apple TV, and Fire Stick as well. Right back after this.
Because of Cass, I'm more confident behind the camera.
Because of Cass, I have found lifelong friends and amazing mentors.
Because of Cass, I will be able to teach English in Cambodia with the Peace Corps.
Because of Cass, I had the opportunity to intern on Capitol Hill.
Because of Cass, I got to sing at the Vatican.
Because of Cass, I was able to present my research and I won a scholarship for it.
Because of Cass, I'm Miss Black OSU.
Because of Cass, I can help someone else find their voice.
Because of Cass, I'm able to not only have one, but 2 internships for the summer lined up already.
Because of Cass, I am confident in leadership positions.
Because of Cass, I'm excited for my future and the opportunities I have within my major.
Because of Cass, I can do it, and so can you.
When everything is on the line, one person can change the game. One swing of the bat, one perfect pass, one leaping catch. In the most important moments, one play, one person can make the difference. This is your moment. your opportunity to change the game for our student athletes. Will you sit on the sidelines? Or will you be a game changer? Join the posse today. Call 405-744-7301 or log on to okstateposse.com. Be a game changer.
I've had a lifetime of little sweet pieces of special. And I just want them to know I love them.
The Cancer Center at Stillwater Medical, the heart of cancer care.
Welcome back in. We're going to continue celebrating the life and legacy of T. Boone Pickens. Chris and Landon are down on the service again. The service will be live streamed on Ocali.com, Fire Stick, Roku, and Apple TV as well. And next Wednesday, September 25th at 3 p.m., students of Oklahoma State will have an opportunity to celebrate the life of T. Boone Pickens in Gallagher-Iba Arena. So again, born in Holdenville, May 22nd, 1928, he accomplished everything in this world. I mean, what was to you? He did so much in the business world, and again, gave so much to Oklahoma State. But outside of Oklahoma State, was it the donations to UT Southwestern Medical Centers, MD Anderson, those kind of a joint contribution, or to Red Cross, or even in the business world? What for you is outside of his contributions to Oklahoma State are the one thing in his life where you look at, go, what a guy?
Probably that MD Anderson donation, just because I would have said the American Red Cross, but I feel like I wanted to be a little bit different. I think just the various ways he gave to people and the various donations that he made, like, it's incredible. The amount of generosity is really incredible. There are not a lot of people that have the money and the power that he did and use it the way that they do. He really wanted to make an impact on people. You mentioned he was part of Warren Buffett and Bill Gates' giving pledge. That's a big deal. There are a lot of rich people out there that don't want to do that, and he jumped at the opportunity. He really, the way he cared about people was really impressive.
Yeah, I'm with you. I will go with, obviously, that donation to MD Anderson and UT Medical Center, but the giving pledge that you talked about, because it wasn't a second thought. It's just a light bulb went off. Of course I'll do that. And you're talking about $1 billion. That is a lot of money. And, you know, he said, my family's taken care of. I can give this away. I can do this. And for it not even to be a second thought, I thought it over and then decided to do this. As soon as they ask him, immediately, yes, I'll do it.
Yeah, like I said, there's not a lot of guys out there that have that level of wealth and are willing to share it with people like that. I do want to read OSU President Bernd Hargis' statement about Boone Pickens real quick before we throw it back to Chris and Landon. All of us in the Oklahoma State University family are deeply saddened by the passing of Boone Pickens. At the same time, we join in celebrating his incredible life. He was the ultimate cowboy. It is impossible to calculate his full impact on academics and athletics. Not only transformed the university, they inspired thousands of others to join the transformation. OSU will not be the same without the legendary Boone Pickens, but his mark on our university will last forever.
I mean, that's
Powerful
a great
stuff.
statement, and you've seen, obviously, President Bush and the Mike Holder who called him our greatest cowboy, which I thought was a great phrase for T. Boone Pickens. I mean, just accomplished so much and gave so much back, and you cannot forget that. We're going to send it back to Chris and Landon in Dallas.
Thanks, guys. Welcome back again. Chris Notch alongside Landon Green. We are outside, again, United Methodist Church here in Dallas, right alongside the SMU campus. You know, Landon, we've talked about his impact with, you know, other individuals, OSU's athletics, but, you know, some other donations that many people maybe don't know is the geology part at OSU. Is he made, you know, some could argue just as big of an impact for their department as he did for athletics.
Yeah, I mean, his name's on the building. He, or at least in that department, it's not on the NRC building, but it's on that department. He has a large picture of him up there. So I talked to a few people on campus, and they said, you know, when he first came here, I just didn't know about it. I walked into that geology department. They tore down one of the old buildings, and I didn't know about it. He had his picture up there. I just thought he was just pompous. And then over the course of time, they were like, well, you know, of course, I've changed my views of Boone, and you know, he's been able to help us out more than, you know, we can even think of. So just talking with people on campus, just some of the ways that, you know, he's even been able to change the naysayers' minds about him as far as his donations to our university. I mean, he's been able to really take advantage of that and use people to kind of make things happen. And we talked about it earlier with the student that he helped fund their doctoral program. I mean, that's the next person that might be able to cure cancer. That's the next person that might be able to, figure out, why tsunamis happen. I don't know. It could be the next person that could do anything, and he helped put that person in a position to succeed.
Yeah, and you bring up that student. There's another student that I was told too that actually worked on his ranch and kind of did some things in the kitchen for him, and he actually helped that individual get through college as well, and the impact too that now they're going to go off and they have that sense of support and this sense of, okay, you know what, I got my chance, now it's time to give it to someone else as well, to help them, to help, again, it's just keep donating and that sun keep growing, that Boone is going to have an impact on everyone's lives for years to come, even after his passing. And you're still going to find things with Boone, from now until probably forever.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people. We talked to the head of geology this past Wednesday of his passing, and talked with her, and she came out and said, hey, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have a job. I mean, I wouldn't be able to come out and help these kids, do everything he's been able to do. He's, written books that they hand out to students in the geology department just to say, hey, this is how you can do it. This is how you can prepare for a career in geology or anything else within the oil business. And, he's been able to, pass that on to other students, even within just the geology department.
Well, and I know you talked to Lou Watkins as well. And, I know you said she had a lot to say for herself as well.
Yeah, I actually have a quote here she says, I personally have the greatest respect and gratitude for Boone Pickens. No doubt he will be remembered for his generosity to OSU athletics, but we also should gratefully acknowledge his magnificent gifts for student scholarships and also the millions he gave for academic chairs for our outstanding faculty. Truly, his kind heart bled orange, and we are very, very blessed he came our way. We will miss him. Lou Watkins, one of our Board of Regents for the agricultural department, I believe. But I mean, it just goes to show how far-reaching his gratitude was. I mean, just his generosity. He was able to give so much to so many different people, and just give them the ability to succeed. I mean, that's the biggest thing. That was his main thing. It wasn't just give somebody some money and say, here, go on with your day. He wanted to make sure that people were right. Whenever they left him, they were better off than how he found them. And he truly believed in that. And I think you see that in the geology department. I think you see it around campus. Lou Watkins is obviously affected in some way by Boone Pickens. And I mean, we are getting to see so much generosity. Even here today, we actually just saw Larry Reese come in. I mean, Boone Pickens gave to our foundation. That's where Larry Reese is, where he's housed, but he also does the PA for the OSU football games. So, I mean, you're starting to see more of his impact even just in our foundation as well. Larry Reese is here, so I mean, that even shows how much he affected him.
Well, and I think that just goes to show that he didn't just focus on donating to one area, so to speak. He didn't just focus on athletics or the geology, but it's the fact that he went to athletics, geology. There's a bunch of hospitals around in the Dallas area that Jay was telling us that he's either donated or helped basically build them up from nothing, in a sense, with his donations, helped get them to prominence in a sense. And again, it's just him just donating. It's not having a exact cause of going, hey, I just want to focus on this or that, but just going, you talk about Lou Watkins in the ag department, he just, yes, I'm sure it's something that holds dear to him. Geology, of course, with oil industry, that's right up his alley. He actually graduated from the geology program here, or at OSU anyways, but like ag, yes, his ranch and all that, but he gives to everyone and anyone. And it just shows with everyone that's kind of come out and talked about the impact he's had on them.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not just our university. Baylor, down in Baylor University in Waco, he actually, I think he fully funded a clinic at their university. Some sort of medical clinic. I can't recall which it is, what they specialize in, but he was able to fully fund a clinic for them so that they could, better their medical program down at Baylor. It's a big program down there. I know a few people that I know that I played football with back in the day. They actually do PT physical therapy program there. They have a large physical therapy program there, and I mean some of that money trickles down to them as well. So, I mean, he was able to not only help OSU, but if it was something he really believed in, he was going to give his money to it as well. And I mean, it shows down in Baylor with that clinic.
Yeah, and that's it. I mean, he's been such a phenomenal person, even not to keep bringing Jay up, but to bring him up again. When we watch Jay give that, when we talked to him yesterday, the passion that Jay talked with about Boone, he didn't see Boone as a boss. He saw him as a man, almost as like a friend, a trusted friend, just like Jerry Jones sees Boone, and just this sense of like, you got the emotion of how hard this was, because it was like losing a loved one for Jay. It wasn't, it's my boss. It is, as you mentioned, it's that friend, someone that he held close. He talked about how, and you mentioned it earlier in this segment, how, Jay's family was Boone's family and vice versa. I mean, Jay was part of their family, and if Jay was going through stuff, Boone was right there. Hey, let me help you. What can I do to take some of the pressure off of you and your family?
Yeah, and I mean, we even saw it at OSU the day on Wednesday when we found out that he had passed. I mean, you just saw it in people's faces. I mean, people who probably don't even watch athletics. I mean, they were just, wow, like this is a crazy day. This is a piece of history that we wish we had never have been a part of. But even though that day was somber, from that day passed all the way to whenever he gave us money, or gave us our funding and everything to bring up our athletic program, to the geology department, all of that. I mean, you almost have to take the good with the bad. You have to take the bad with the good, and it was all good. I mean, up until this point, it's sad, yes, but we're able to come in here and celebrate his life just every day and look back on all the generous things that he's been able to give Oklahoma State.
Well, I think you used the key word right there, celebration. This is a celebration. It's a celebration of Boone, who he was. Yes, it's sad, and unfortunately, at some point, it happens to all of us. As a person hates to think about it, but it's a celebration of the impact. Like as you mentioned, all the high-profile individuals that are here. You mentioned Larry Reese, among others. Jerry Jones, who's actually speaking here, along with the governor as well. Governor Abbott will be speaking, and I know another trusted friend of Boone's is speaking as well. I mean, it just shows. It's a celebration. We're here to celebrate everything that Boone did and what he stood for as a human.
Yeah, and I mean, when we, and everybody goes into Boone Pickens Stadium next week for that K-State game, you're gonna look up and all those fireworks are gonna be shooting off, and I think it's gonna be a moment where everybody says, "Man, I mean, he really helped us out." I mean, this is something that you can really look at and say, "This is the house that Boone built." And then you can look at those fireworks and just say, wow, this really is a celebration of life. And you don't have to be sad about it anymore, because he did a lot of good.
Well, and I think we're going to feel that, as you mentioned, in a couple weeks here, when K-State does come to town to BPS, there is going to be that energy of, hey, Boone's here. As you mentioned, the fireworks go off. It's just a sense of, man, it's almost going to be like another celebration for everyone, because that will be the first time since his passing that we will have a contest in Boone Pickens, because of course the week it happened, they went into Tulsa and played at Tulsa, which I mean still people know, at least in Tulsa, know of Boone. Of course, a lot of people do.
Well, it's an oil town,
right?
Tulsa's an oil town.
But it's that thing of it's going to be a packed house, not only to watch the football team take on Kansas State, but also to celebrate Boone Pickens.
Yeah, and they're doing, the school is giving a celebration of life next week, next Wednesday at Gallagher Arena. I think it's at 2:30, I believe. Is that
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock. 3 o'clock. Okay, so it's at 3 o'clock in Gallagher Arena, and that's for the students, that's for the faculty, that's for everybody that's day to day in Stillwater. But Saturday is going to be the day that everyone can celebrate. It's going to be the day that everyone can come together as a full group, donors, alumni, students, faculty, players, coaches. We can all just come together and really celebrate his life. And I think that it's all going to kick off with those fireworks.
Yeah, you're right. And it's the energy, I think, is something to really look forward to. Because, again, you mentioned the the celebration this coming Wednesday, that's going to be big. For everyone to just really, really give thanks in a sense for what Boone did, what he stood for. So yeah, it's going to be an exciting time, electric time, but at the same time, a somber side of it. But as Jay kind of mentioned too, Boone still wants life to go on.
Yeah. Of course.
And I think that's how everyone kind of is. You want life to go on, celebrate it, and then go, okay, let's go. Because Boone wants me to continue forth. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep carrying his legacy and just making an impact as Boone would.
Yeah, and we're seeing some players now go in, some former players from Oklahoma State. Zach Crabtree actually just walked in to the chapel. So, I mean, you're starting to see some people come in that you're really like, wow, he really had that reach on some people. Not only just players, but I mean, some of the people that we've seen already, the Joneses, most of them have come already. Stephen and Jerry Jones Jr. have already come in today. So, we've been able to see even the reach that he has on, just people all over. So, I mean, he's been one of those people that, as an Oklahoma State student, as a graduate of Oklahoma State as well, I'm able to say, I was a part of an era of greatness in Oklahoma State history over the course of the history since 1890, whenever we had a school, from 1905 when we started our football program, all the way until now. I was part of I was able to go to school at Oklahoma State during a time where things were really fun.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. Even as a transfer for myself, I feel honored. I didn't even know who Boone was as a person, but I felt like I got to know him the few days we were down here. Really getting to know him and the impact he made just made me feel like, wow, I'm so happy, as you mentioned, to be in the era that Boone was. Yeah. But again, for Landon Green, I'm Chris Notch, right outside of United Methodist Church. The ceremony is going to begin here at 2 o'clock. You can stay on our stream to watch that if you want,
or
on the ceremony. Or boonpickens.com. You can go search it on the web. They will have the live streaming as well.
And we'll also have a tribute coming out next Wednesday for Boone Pickens. The Ocali TV will release that on Wednesday. So we'll have a tribute for Boone Pickens on Wednesday.
That is right. So again, for Landon, myself, thank you for tuning in. We'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Chris. His final letter that T. Boone Pickens wrote, Logan, I want to read some of the key principles to his life. And one of those was, a good work ethic is critical. Don't look to government to solve problems. The strength of this country is in its people. Embrace change. Although older people are generally threatened by change, young people loved me because I embraced change rather than running from it. Change creates opportunity. And his staff always asked him, Boone, what do you got? And his final best answer was, I left an undying love for America and the hope it presents for all. I left a passion for entrepreneurship and the promise it sustains. I left the belief that future generations can and will do better than my own. T. Boone Pickens, for Logan and I and everyone at Oklahoma State, America's brightest orange will shine bright. The contributions you gave to Oklahoma State and the world will never be forgotten. Again, you can go to the Celebration of Life for T. Boone Pickens Wednesday, September 25th at 3 p.m. next week for the Celebration of Life for T. Boone Pickens. We will be streaming live on Ocali.com, Roku, Apple TV, and Fire Stick as well. So any final thoughts for you?
Also, you can catch the stream on boonpickens.com. Just make sure, if you're a student here, maybe if you don't watch the funeral or go to the live celebration, just think about how Boone Pickens has affected you and given you a great opportunity at this campus.
Yeah, we were given so much. Again, a university, the medical centers that he donated to, and all that he accomplished in the business world. T. Boone Pickens Stadium will stand for a long time, but the legacy of T. Boone Pickens will live forever. So for Reed Spencer, thanks to Chris and Landon, Logan Mosier. Again, Ocali.com if you want to watch the live stream of the service. So thank you for watching us, and thank you to T. Boone Pickens for all that he gave to the world.
But sure, it's still a thrill every time you come over here. And we have got absolutely the best looking campus of any school in collegiate America.
One of the things that I look back on is I really saved our university.
Because of Cass, I'm more confident behind the camera.
Because of Cass, I have found lifelong friends and amazing mentors.
Because of Cass, I will be able to teach English in Cambodia with the Peace Corps.
Because of Cass, I had the opportunity to intern on Capitol Hill.
Because of Cass, I got to sing at the Vatican.
Because of Cass, I was able to present my research and I won a scholarship for it.
Because of Cass, I'm Miss Black OSU.
Because of Cass, I can help someone else find their voice.
Because of Cass, I'm able to not only have 1, but 2 internships for the summer lined up already.
Because of Cass, I am confident in leadership positions.
Because of Cass, I'm excited for my future and the opportunities I have within my major.
Because of Cass, I can do it, and so can you.
When everything is on the line, one person can change the game. One swing of the bat, one perfect pass, one leaping catch. In the most important moments, one play, one person can make the difference. This is your moment. Your opportunity to change the game for our student athletes. Will you sit on the sidelines? Or will you be a game changer? Join the posse today. Call 405-744-7301 or log on to okstateposse.com. Be a game changer.
I've had a lifetime of little sweet pieces of special. And I just want them to know I love them.
The Cancer Center at Stillwater Medical, the heart of cancer care.